thanks everyone for coming. My name is Justin Deutsch from Houston Congregation for Reformed Judaism. I've seen many of you before, but not in your own homes. It's been more in the HCRJ parking lot. This is our 8th Cars, Coffee, and Conversation event, and it's very much different than the first 7. Obviously we can't get together, but we, talking to Mitch and Michelle, we wanted to, not cancel, just kind of rethink the event. And so instead today we're going to do a car detailing Q&A. Thank you all for participating today. And with that, I'll hand it over to Michelle and Mitch.
All right, I'm going to just kind of give the lay of the land. We have received a few questions that Mitch will respond to, and I will share my screen at one point to show a picture that we received with one of the questions. And we're going to leave everybody's audio on, but if there becomes a lot more people join or there's a lot of background noise, Justin will just put everyone on mute, and then you could just enter any questions in the chat box and we'll get them to Mitch. And Mitch is out in the garage. I'm in the house watching the full screen of all of this. So does anyone have any questions about Zoom before we get started?
No.
Yeah, you do have control over muting everybody and as the host. So what I found in Zoom conversations is the host really very often has to subtly just mute people,
Okay.
because their speakerphones are on and echoing or something.
Okay, so I hope
I may be
everyone
just,
has their coffee.
Polishing my car while you're at it.
Okay, I hope everyone has their coffee, and we'll get our Cars, Coffee, and Conversation underway.
Is that my cue?
That's your cue.
We don't have any coffee.
Uh-oh.
Well, I feel like we're like ABC morning show. So I'm just flipping through here, and there are some people on here, I think, that are still coming. So it's like Michelle and Justin said, we do a car show twice a year, and we've had it 7 times, and our 8th was to have been today. Is today the actual day that the car show would have been?
Yep.
Yeah. So we're doing this instead, and I'm curious because obviously it's not a car show, but it is a place for people to get together and kind of share and learn and talk about all kinds of things, automotive, detailing, whatever. And I know that with detailing, it's and we have at least 2 other detailers on the call with us, and I hope to get those guys to chime in. But all the detailing topics they seem simple, but they're all complicated. And anytime we're trying to explain something to somebody, it's always, well, if it's this, then it's that. And if it's this, then it's this, then it's that. And if it's the summertime or the wintertime, there's like so many what ifs that it's really hard to have a definitive answer on a topic and just give the answer and move on. So I think it's nice to be able to have a discussion about it, so you can say, well, and this is part of the process of setting up a detail with somebody, is kind of having all these Q&As, because little pieces of information leak out when the customers or the car owners don't even realize that they're sharing important information. That's something I need to hear. Like if I'll say, well, how long has it been since your car was last detailed? And if they tell me never, that's often a good thing. If they tell me, oh, I had it, I'm the 3rd owner and I detail it twice a year and the other guy detailed it, well, now I don't know necessarily what the car's been through and what the condition of all the surfaces are. So if it's been untouched, that's a different thing. But I do have some questions here that were submitted. And, oh, I see Mr. Jones. Hello, Mr. Jones. I'll start with, S. Greenbaum 1, and I don't know if they're on the call. I'll give a chance to see if S. Greenbaum is on the call, asking questions about wrapping, car wraps, and car films.
I don't see Steve on the call.
Okay. So Steve asked, how do you get the best look and longevity on a wrapped car? And so there's wraps that are just a solid color. So these days, if you want to like change the color of your car, you can get it all wrapped in a different color. And we're all familiar with the graphics, you know, contractor vehicles, all this kind of stuff with graphics. In our Boy Scout troop, we have a trailer that's wrapped with the stuff. And in Texas, those wraps don't hold up that long. And so my solution to care for those wraps is basically care for them like paint, which is keep them clean and keep them protected. And so clean, in the case of a wrap, is a little different than paint because it's more fragile. And so one thing that I'll do on paint, which I don't do on film, is clay bar because it's abrasive. So to keep the, you know, besides regular washing, there's decontamination processes, including clay bar, but I would exclude that on the wrap. And for wrap, I would stick with maybe an iron remover, carefully applied. And I would skip any kind of tar or adhesive removers, since it's essentially a sticker stuck on the car. And also be really mindful of all the edges of the wrap, all the way around the car. So I use a pressure washer. And so if there's an edge, right, this is the edge of the film, I would never run the pressure washer in this direction, right? Always run it in this direction so that I'm coming off the edge with my spray, so never lifting an edge. And then once the film is clean, decontaminated, and carefully cared for, then some type of a wax or sealant goes on there, the same as paint. You can also ceramic coat sealants. So one of my favorite sealants for paint or films is Jescar Power Lock. Trying to get you so you can see it. It's kind of a funny bottle, but Jescar Power Lock is a fantastic sealant. Lasts about 6 months. It's a polymer. It's easy to apply. You put it on, you let it haze up for about a half hour, and you wipe it off like paste wax. Another one that I like to use, this one is a liquid. It's G-Technic liquid crystal. It gives a really nice, really shiny, like modern type of look to the finish. And this is good on wraps also. And this is easier to use. You wipe it on, immediately wipe it off, and you're done. There's no waiting in between. So that's what I would say for care on film. Would be keep it clean, watch the edges, and keep it sealed, because these sealants have UV protection in them, and they'll help them last longer in the sun. So I know Steve's not here, but I hope that answers the question. And now to our viewing audience. Any questions about what I just offered? Excellent. I did a great job explaining everything. I covered it all. All right. So that was our first question. And now for the car show part, since I know Haley is there and she needs to see some cars.
Wait. I have a wrap question.
Oh, wrap question. This sounds like this is one of our guest detailers. Where is he? I'm scrolling. Is that you, Mike?
That's me. I was
Mike
in the midst of feeding
Williamson,
the cats, but I heard.
motoring concierge in Austin, Texas.
How's everybody doing? My question for you, you had mentioned in your talk about wraps that they don't last long here in Texas. So talk a little bit about why they don't last long and how long you think they last and what the variables are.
Sure. Thank you.
And I would preface that by saying my opinion is that wraps, whether clear wrap or colored wrap, should be sold setting a reasonable expectation in your regional area as to how long that should last, and that you can expect that it needs to be replaced. I
Yes.
think that's something that gets lost in people's minds and is very dissimilar from paint, and that I would submit the life is much shorter than a painted surface. But
Yes. And I'll tell you
Like about
that,
what in Texas?
yeah. Well, so my primary dealings with wraps is in removing them. That's my primary interaction because I don't install them. I think it's a specialty that I haven't delved into. So my experience with wraps is either in caring for them to preserve them or in removing them altogether. And in Texas, I'd say the lifespan is somewhere in the 5 to maybe 7, 8 year range. Not much longer than that. And what happens is there's a few things that happen to films. Over time, they become brittle, they age, they can discolor, the clear ones start to go yellow, they can crack, develop surface defects, and the adhesive that is actually holding them to the paint gets hard, turns to cement, becomes very, very, very difficult to remove. And so I advise anyone that's coming, looking at adding film to their car, just like Mike said, I was like, well, great. However, build into your budget, build into your expectations that you're going to put it on now, and 5 years, 7 years later, you need to take it off and have it replaced or keep it off at that point. There's also a lot of nuances about how that film is installed. Is it cut edges? Is it wrapped edges? There's a lot of damage that can happen to a car when the film is installed with the razor blades. And so there's like I said at the beginning, every aspect of detailing has so many layers and levels to it that if you're willing to delve into the specifics, we could probably talk the next 2 hours about wraps and films and all the different kinds, the self-healing kinds. If you park inside, do you park outside? There's so many different ways that film can last somebody 10 years and someone else 3 years, all based on how they treat it. And so I know that the installer shops that I'm familiar with, where they actually put the films on, when you approach them, when the time comes to have it removed, they won't quote you a price. They'll just give you an hourly rate. And they say, oh, it's X per hour to remove it, because they know that they're going to have to chisel it off. And they'll also tell you that they're not responsible for any damage that occurs underneath when the film comes off. And so that's another aspect of these films, is that you can put them on the car and feel like you have like a magic shield protecting you, not realizing that when it comes off, you can either create damage at that very moment when you're taking it off, or you can reveal and expose damage that was hiding under there all that time. And you pull it off and pop, here comes a little paint chip, comes right off with the adhesive. And now you've had this expensive film that you've had for years that you thought was protecting you. And now you need a body shop, paint job. So I think films I'm not a fan. I don't use them on my cars, except for maybe on a bumper or a mirror or something like that. But sometimes there's you got a car like this, and you're planning to go on a cross-country run, right, on one of those big drives. Yeah, put some paint protection film on it, maybe on the hood, maybe the whole car, and then after the trip is over, get that stuff off of there and go back to the way you were. That's one way to use it. When the films are installed, you can order a pre-made kit that are machine cut, right? And so it'll fit right on here, except it ends at the edges. And so where the panel ends, you'll see a little line all the way around on every panel on the car when you have a pre-made kit like that. If you have a light colored car, you have to have a white car, eventually you'll see little dirt building up around all those edges and all those lines. And it becomes a problem, right? So even the color of the car matters on the wrap. And so it's not for everybody, and you can spend $5,000-$8,000 on getting a whole car done. So there's a kind of a big range of how it's installed, the kind of material that's used, how long it lasts, how you care for it. lot of variables. And Mike, I don't know if I touched on kind of what you were shooting for there, but I would say in Houston, in Texas, in the sun, especially a car that spends a decent amount of time outside, I'd say about 5 years, something around that time.
I would say if I personally had a car that I completely wrapped in high grade PPF and stored it only in my garage, drove it rarely, drove it to the local Cars and Coffee, and put, say, hundreds of miles on it a year or less. And other than that, you know, fair weather only, and I stuck it in the garage, and I, as a pro detailer, had a clear schedule and cleaned that car all the time, I would still plan on replacing that film in less than 5 years, or you're going to be looking at chiseling it off or all those potential issues. Not that you're going to completely mitigate it by removing it earlier, but the point is that a lot of these products where they tout, oh, this film lasts for 10 years. That film just came out last year. You started developing it a year before that. And your testing and research and development budget doesn't allow you to do the type of testing that will really satisfy me as a critical eye that it's going to last 10 years. And the only way I'm really going to be confident of that is to have seen it at the end of 10 years. And I know a lot of these films I'm pulling off now that have been there for 5, 6, 7, 10 years had a lot of big marketing claims behind them as well. But on my own personal vehicle, if I had to do the work, I would not have film on my car longer than about 3 years around here the way I use them, and that would be like a daily that I kept in the garage. If it was a vehicle that sat outside in the sun, I don't know that I'd even go that long.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
I'm switching here for just a second. I had a text message come in. It says, my car is sitting idle on the driveway. Any rational reason to clean it weekly or periodically? That question comes from David Warren on our call. So David, I will answer it this way. A week or two ago, when we were already homebound, I was outside washing my car, which I had not driven in about 2 weeks, and I was washing it in the rain. And my neighbor looked at me and said, like she didn't know where to start. But the reason I was washing it is because it had been sitting outside and it was covered in pollen and tree sap from the pine trees in our neighborhood. And it was just starting to build up a big thick layer of dirt. And if I let that sit on there, that was going to eat away at the protection that I had on there, you know, whether that's a wax sealant or coating. And the longer that dirt sits there, the more chance it has to embed or stain or become ingrained in the material and make it that much harder to remove. So I was able to quickly wash my car because it's kept clean and protected. And the fact that it was raining didn't bother me at all because I wasn't trying to keep the car dry. I was trying to keep the car clean. And so
keeping it wet while washing is a good thing.
Yeah, washing a car in the rain for me is not a problem at all. It doesn't, I mean, not a storm, but if it's raining, misting, whatever, you know, it's not a problem. Now, if it's a car that I'm trying to present and deliver, right, then yes, it's a problem if it's raining when I'm trying to dry it off. But as far as maintenance and keeping it clean, I would say, Dave, for a car that's sitting outside, especially this time of year in Houston, we have pollen just like crazy. So I'd say once a month, couple of weeks. If you have a foam cannon, foam it up, let it sit, spray it off. Maybe get a brush and go around the window seals and some of the small areas that can hold on to the accumulated pollen, which is what we have here. And then if you have pine trees or other kind of trees that put sap down, you want to get to that sap while it's still tacky and sticky. When it turns to cement, then you have a lot more work to do. So better better to wash it often and get that buildup before it has a chance to settle in. So, all right, got a thumbs up from Dave. So I think we answered that question. Any other questions or comments about film or Dave's question?
So let's go to Bill Eckenrode's question, and I'll share my screen with his photo.
Great.
Well, let me figure this out.
The share screen button.
There we go. Can you see it?
There we
Yep.
go. Thank you, Michelle.
Yes.
So Bill does not have a mic hooked up to his computer, so he's here, but he's not able to chime in. But Bill did send me a question, and so Bill is a longtime car guy. He restores cars, a lot of customs, American cars. Hope I'm getting this right, Bill, but I'd say Bill likes cars from the 40s to the 70s, 40s to the 60s, something like that. And so Bill's asking about cleaning or restoring or maintaining the wrinkle finish paint that you can have specifically on some valve covers. And so that's the picture that Bill sent in here, is this Edelbrock valve cover. It's got that black crinkle finish paint on it. In the one case, let's say if the paint is in good shape, right? So it's not cracked or chipped and we just want to keep it clean and take care of it. Bill, what I would recommend is a steamer. So, sorry, I'm switching around. So this is my steamer, Bill. The reason I like steam is because the heat will help to break up any oily dirt, grease and grime and stuff like that that's in all the intricate areas of the valve cover. Add to it a brush of some sort. This is a horsehair brush. And so you can spray some degreaser on there, work it in with the brush, hit it with the steamer, and then I think you'll be pretty good as far as keeping it clean. As far as trying to put any kind of protection down on it, you know, it's a crinkle finish. You can probably, I wouldn't put any kind of a wax on it, but I put a spray sealant. So something along the lines of this one that we looked at earlier. It goes down as a clear liquid and then it wipes off, and it never hazes up and it never goes white, and it doesn't stain, trim, or do anything like that will cause you problems digging it out of the crinkles. This one, I wouldn't use this on the valve cover, because this one goes on, it sits for a half hour, it hazes up, and then you have to remove it, and that doesn't sound like a lot of fun on crinkle finish. So I would say use a liquid sealant along the lines of this. And then as far as maintaining, I've got some paint tools here. So if you had any kind of touch-up paint, Bill's are black. If it's chipped or scratched, this is a tool introduced to me by Mike, who's on the call. This is a fibrous pen. It's a sanding pen, and it opens up like this. And on the end of it is, hopefully I'm showing it, these are stiff fibers, and this is using for sanding paint chips. So if I'm fixing a paint chip, I will first clean it and then hit it with this. And you just work it in like a pen. It's really good at softening the edges of a paint chip. And then once you have the edge prepped, clean it with alcohol or some type of cleaner before you put your paint. This is a touch-up paint applicator. So the touch-up paint gets put in the well over here, and little teeny tip will let you get right in that valve cover and apply the paint at various angles to get in where you're trying to clean up the valve cover. So I hope, Bill, that kind of touched on some of what you were shooting for. I'll give you a chance to right back in the text box if you'd like. See if we touched on some of the things. Oh, there it is. Thanks for the tips, Mitch. All right, Bill, you're welcome. Sorry, we can't
Mitch,
show
what are some of the
bar.
brand names of the tools and the things that you mentioned? Like what type of a steam machine do you use? What's the brand of the little brushy tippy thing for paint chips?
Sure. The steamer that I use is made by a company called Vapor Chief. They go by the name either Vapor Chief or Chief Steamers. It's a small company. The guy that sells them also designs them and has them made in Italy. The steamer market is based in Italy. I don't know how that happened, but that's kind of where the good steamers come from. So what he's done is he's worked with a factory over there where they make steamers for lots of companies. And so they have all the bits and pieces, and he assembled his own design and they make it for him. I'll say with a steamer, if you're considering a steamer, steam is one of those things where you never have enough steam. So I started off with a small steamer, and I could pull that trigger for about 2 minutes, and then I'd have to wait a few minutes after that until I could use it again for the pressure to build up. So steamers they go all the way up to diesel powered steamers. If you want to be able to pull the trigger and steam a large, a whole vehicle. You can even wash your car with steam, which I have done on occasion. So, Chief Steamer or a Vapor Chief Steamer, John, and the guy's name there is Kevin. And if you're looking at a steamer, you can contact Kevin and tell him why you want one, what you think you want to do with it. He's got a range of models, and he'll talk you through it and explain, well, why this model makes sense or not. I'd highly recommend checking in with Kevin at Chief Steamer. He also has an attachment to turn your steamer into an extractor, where you hook up a vacuum to your steamer, and it's fantastic for cloth seats, carpet, upholstery. I use it in our house. There's all kinds of ways to use it. The paint pen is made by Lowell Cornell. I'll get these on Amazon. Okay, this is how it looks in the package. These are great, especially if you use them with the Dr. Color Chip touch-up paint. The touch-up paint that you get sometimes from the dealership might be a little thicker, especially the stuff with the dip brush, like whiteout style. It won't work so well in here unless you use a thinner. But if you get Dr. Color Chip, the Dr. Color Chip will pour right into that inkwell. So Dr. Color Chip is my preferred paint. And if you have your VIN number, so I know on some of the old classics, like John has, it may be a little more difficult, but if you have a modern car with a VIN number, you give Dr. Color Chip your VIN number, they will send you an exact paint match. As far as this, John, I'd have to look it up. I got this on Amazon. These are sold generically. There's many, many, many of these listed. They cost under $10, and they have refill packs. So
Eastwood also carries those, Mitch.
Eastwood? Okay, thanks, Mike. And so the, well, I can't pull it out right now, but this little insert on the end is replaceable.
Right.
So you buy this holder for maybe $5 or $7, and then I think I bought a 10-pack of these for about the same. But they're real handy to have. You'll do a much better job than even trying to pull off a tiny strip of sandpaper. It's more control with this. As far as the my general supplies, I purchased from detailedimage.com. Detailedimage.com is a pretty no-nonsense detail supplier. You can also buy just about everything you need on Amazon. You'll just pay a little more. So a lot of these detailing suppliers actually sell on Amazon under the same name, sometimes a different name, and they have the same products at slightly higher prices. So if you just want to buy a product, right? Let's say you saw this and you said, oh, I'd like to have some of that. You can just go on Amazon and get this. And you don't have to set up an account and go through a specialty store to get it. And so that's my suggestion there.
I think Detailed Image sells on Amazon too.
Yeah. And Auto Geek is one of the big names you'll come across. And they have a big website, and they also sell on Amazon. And you'll see a lot of Chemical Guys stuff all over the place, widely available. And a lot of these things now are starting to show up in the local auto parts stores. So if you look at the auto parts store, the detailing shelf has changed over the last few years, and now there's actually some good stuff there. It used to be just sort of watered down products that I'd see there, but now a little more higher end stuff I'm seeing in the auto parts stores.
Yeah. Back on the steamers, a few years back, I sprung for a Dupre steamer, which is one of those Italian things. It sort of blew the budget for the quarter, but it's really great for like getting the wire wheels on the 42 Cadillac.
For intricate areas, for detail. Yeah, Dupre is a much bigger name in steamers than Vapor Chief. Yeah, they make real nice machines, and they also come from Italy. I'm gonna get my extractor head so I can show it to you, John. Just a second. I'm back. Is that bad TV?
Yay!
So I have the other hose, right? So this is the standard hose that it comes with. And this is, I think, 11 feet long or something like that. And there's various attachments that you can put on the end here to control your delivery of the steam. But I have a completely separate hose, which is this one. And what this one does, lost a piece of it. There it is. So what this one does, I know Michelle's laughing. What this one does is it has two hookups on the end for it connects to the steamer through this plug, and it also connects to a vacuum through this port. So you have steam and vacuum. And on the business end, you have a nozzle like this. So it sprays steam out through the nozzle and vacuum here along the edge. And so it does a great job of letting that steamer be much more useful for carpets and upholstery. And so that's actually one of the things.
Is there some sort of standardization?
Well, so it's part of what drew me in for this end.
No. Yeah.
No. So this end is proprietary to Vapor Chief. And
yeah, it looks it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in addition, they have, like back here, there's a button on the back of here for injection. And there's control here, electrical contacts. And so depending upon which hose you connect, you get different features with the Vapor Chief. So that's why I selected it. I liked talking to Kevin. I liked his sort of reasoning behind how he designed his machines. I liked the fact that he was a small American company, and the fact that he had this extractor set up.
So Mitch, it's 10:40, just to give you a time check. Haley is insisting on seeing some cars.
All right, Haley. So here we have a 1984 Ferrari GTO. It's from Italy. And here we have, what year is this one, Dad? 1957 Testarossa 250. Now, I happen to have these two out here.
Gorgeous
because these are my dad's, and they were sitting around for a long time, and they're dusty and they're dirty. And my son and I, my 7th grade son, were going to detail these. We're going to polish them and ceramic coat them and do the whole business on these 2 cars. And we just haven't gotten around to it yet. Does Haley want to see my
So there's
cars?
for Haley. There's one for Haley. If I speak, it pops to the front of her screen. There's
Yeah,
one for Haley. There's a Mitch car. That's the 2019 Mercedes S560, just done a month ago, I guess. Let me see. Wait, Haley, let me walk, and I'll show you. There's another car coming at Haley. There's the 1932 Cadillac 7-passenger sedan. And so there's another car that's what, I don't know, do the math. What is that? 88 years old now? Yeah, something like that. And still carries on. And then what else do we do? Oh, and then for Shop Talk, I added LED lights above the workbench. Cost $80 on Amazon, and lights it up like a Christmas tree. So there, I'll stop talking and turn it back.
Here's one for Haley too. Let's see. You want to talk about that one, Mitch? Can you see it?
Sure. Is Haley there?
Yes. I want to drive that.
All right, Haley. So you're looking at a replica car. This is a replica. So this is a new car from 2001, but it's a replica of a 1967 Lotus 7. And I have the car. I'm trying to see if I can show my screen because I'm sitting right next to the car.
Up sharing.
There we go. Is that working? So this is where that car lives, Haley. It sits right here, just waiting to come out and play. Right? It sits here, and I actually made a special place to park it. So let's see if I can show you. So this was a doorway that we cut the bottom of the door here, so we can park the car in there. So there's that one. And then I'll also show another car. This is a 1994 Porsche 968 convertible, and it's sitting here. I've got it on the battery charger right now. It's got a 3-liter 4-cylinder engine. And
Haley says she wants to drive the Birkin, Mitch.
you want to drive the Birkin, Haley? I don't blame you. It's a nice color. So that's where it lives. Okay, so shall I move to the next question, Michelle?
Sure. I think we have one from the rabbi, right?
Yeah, I do. That's our next one. Bear with me a second here. Okay. So we have another question from Steve Gross. What's the easiest way to keep your windshield clean on the inside? Not only is it a pain to do, but every product I use seems to make things smudge. It's likely an issue of the fact that I ignore it until it becomes a problem. Yes, so detailers don't like glass. It's the hardest thing to do. So what Steve is encountering there is basically greasy, oily film on that glass that he's just smearing around and not really removing it, just pushing it around. And so in order to do that, first thing is you need some type of glass cleaner. I don't really think it matters too much what kind of glass cleaner you use. You just need to use plenty of it. This one is a Meguiar's concentrate that I buy and mix up myself, but honestly, I don't think it matters. You can use Windex or any glass cleaner you want to use, in my opinion. It helps to have tools so that you can reach. This is a glass cleaning tool to help you reach down into the corners of the glass so you can reach across and get to where you have to go. It has replaceable cloth on here, So if you want to clean that way, you can do that way. I also recommend getting some specific cloth to use for glass. If you're trying to use paper towels, they're just not absorbent enough to pull that gunk off of there. So microfiber, a lot of cloth will have two sides. You'll have the long nap side and the short nap side. And so for cleaning, for removing that stuff, I'd use the long nap side. And when you clean the glass, work from the edges inward. So around the perimeter and then towards the center. If you work from the middle out, you'll push all that stuff into the corners and then it'll be hard to get off. For a greasy windshield, you may have to do this 2-3 times with the fresh cloth each time until you really get that off. And then when you're all done, come back with a dry cloth. And for that, I use the short nap side and do a dry cloth, and that'll avoid any streaking or lines left behind. If you want to get fancy, you can use some towels that are made for glass. This is an example of one. They have a very, very, very low nap or tight weave. I'm trying to show it so it comes up, but this is a towel made especially for glass. And the other tip I'll give you for glass is do it with a backlight. So if you're like, do it at night or do it somehow with a light. So you're looking through the glass at the light and it'll show you every speck of dust that's on there, every smear and smudge, so you can get it really clean. Because depending upon the light, you can think it's clean and then pull outside in the sun and realize, oh, it's all smudged up, I didn't know. Or the first time you go out and drive at night, right? So that's my answer for the rabbi is lots of glass cleaner, lots of microfiber towels, work from the perimeter towards the center. And then when you're all done, finish it off with dry cloth. And I think they'll be good. The other thing about doing windshields is you want to have a scraper of some sort to get off the sticker residue. So that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. You keep putting those stickers on and every year it's in a slightly different spot and you end up with that line, the tape line from the sticker, and it collects dirt. So I like to always get all that off before I put the new sticker on. And I know that Steve isn't here, but I imagine that answered the question.
All right, Mitch, I think we should wrap it up. I know Haley's made some logo work for you that I think.
Oh, really?
Oh, here we go. Mitch's Motors. We have reached the end. Do you want to wrap up, Mitch? Anything you want to add?
Can I see the logo?
Oh, I was wrong. It wasn't an official logo.
Oh, okay. I just want to thank everyone for being here. I don't know. I didn't scroll through and see if everyone had a chance to say hi, or I only get to see 4 at a time on the phone. So anyhow, yeah, thank you.
I think we're set. So we want
hope everybody's okay.
We want to thank Justin for setting this up and being so supportive. I want to know where Matt is that he needed to put his heat on in the garage.
I'm in Chicago.
Okay.
It was almost 70 degrees yesterday, and then I woke up this morning to rain, and it was 50.
Oh.
That sounds like Austin.
It was chilly this morning.
Yeah.
It's only 58 in Houston right now, so. All right.
Okay. Well, Matt just launched his YouTube channel.
That's right.
What's the name of the channel, Matt?
It's Matthew Specialized Detailing.
Matthew Specialized. And you've got 2 videos up now?
I put the third one up on Thursday, and I got 2 more. I got 2 more that are going up next week. I just did a video with Clint Hintz from Buff and Shine on. We started with foam pads and talked about foam pads, and then the next video that's going to go up is microfibers, the Eurofiber pads.
Oh, great! I have Buff and Shine and Eurofiber pads right here. So.
Yep.
So we
did, sure. Yeah, we did that. That was fun. So I'm just having fun. Hopefully it'll go somewhere in the future, and we'll see what happens with it. But
you know, all these kinds of things, they start off small.
And
Okay,
growing
They start off and
family is the best.
I think if you want to become a car detailer, you need to grow a beard and get glasses like Mike, Mitch, and Matt. Your name needs to start with an M. So, all right, Haley, let's see the sign again. Where it is.
Hey, I
Hey,
don't see her.
it says, yay, Mitch's Motors. I
2
can't-
exclamation points.
Hey, thanks, Haley.
We have reached the end.
Hey, my own kids aren't even here, so thank you.
Bye, everyone.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Good
Hey.
night.
Thank you, Justin. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Michelle.
Thank you, Mitch.
Bye, everybody.